especially the way we do outbound with AI and advanced research. I'm very convinced that it is the future of sales, for B2B at least. For me, it's very easy to say, okay, guys, let's have a talk and present me your needs, present to me your sales process. And from there, I'm 100% sure that I can convince you that what we do is more efficient. This is you solve a real problem for your client, and that's it. If they are satisfied with you solving their problem, they will pay you. That's simple as that.
Alrighty, I'm gonna, with a Scottish accent, absolutely murder the pronunciation here, but today's guest is Jérémy Grandillon. Was I even close there?
Not bad. Actually quite good.
I think going on holiday to like Normandy in northern France when I was younger has gave me some sense of the French language. But today's guest is a bit of an expert in sales, a bit of an expert in Allbound, so inbound and outbound. He has been blowing up on LinkedIn, especially recently. I think pretty much every live event that I've seen with some of the big names, the Lindsay Rosenthals, the Audrey Chias, you're always on these live events as well. So I keep seeing you everywhere. But welcome to the podcast, Jérémy.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And I like to be, listed with such great creators as Lindsay and Audrey. Thank you.
They are giving the flowers there immediately. I love it. So you're an expert in sales, and I want to start you off with a bit of a curveball. What is the best accent to have on a sales call? Is it French? Is it a posh English one? Is it a Scottish one?
I mean, it depends on who you're talking with, but I actually, I don't complain having this French accent. In sales, it's great to have some icebreakers, and having an accent for sure is sometimes a good one. Sometimes it's annoying because you say something and they understand something different. So that can be tricky, but most of the time it's pretty positive. And also, if you accept it and you go with it, it's part of my charm,
Yeah, I get the same as well. I mean, I'm Scottish, as you probably know. We're kind of known to be difficult to understand as well. So it's something that I used to say on sales calls as well. I know I sound like Shrek, but I promise what I'm selling is a real thing as well. All right, I want to jump into your business straight away. All right, so I'm looking on your LinkedIn profile and I see your tagline, let AI do the heavy lifting for your sales. How exactly does your business help lift sales pressure, and how did you settle on this exact tagline?
Yeah, perfect question. Thank you. Let's talk about sales in general, and when I'm talking about sales in that case, I'm more specifically talking about sales prospecting, like getting meetings, basically finding leads and start conversation with those qualified leads. And if you look back in the past, you had, I would say, two ways to do that. The spray and pray way, like basically having a template quite generic and send it to many people and pray for the best. That was a thing. That's still a thing, unfortunately, sometimes. But that was one way to do it. Like 5 or 6 years ago, it was decent in terms of results. And the other way was more precise and more the quality approach than the quantity approach. So you needed, before AI, you needed to have, I don't know, dozens of SDR or business developers, you call it, whatever you want, searching for information on the prospect to make the email, in that case, the first message at least, more relevant, finding more information to make sure we are targeting the right people. And that was a better approach already, but it required more resources, basically. And with the rise of AI, you can basically do that with tools instead of having dozens of SDRs. And so your SDR, you need less SDRs, so some SDRs needs to find a new job probably. But the role of the SDR is also changing and evolving, and you have people managing those campaigns, managing those meetings, instead of having people scrolling LinkedIn or websites all day long, which is not very exciting as a job anyway. And that's the part that AI does, the heavy lifting, like finding, instead, classic example, like I saw you posted this on LinkedIn, it's relevant to our offer. That's a classic, I would say, icebreaker for emails. Not the best, but anyway, it works. That meant in the past that you had someone looking on LinkedIn to find this. Now this is an AI agent doing that. So that's the heavy lifting.
Yeah, so it's essentially taking all the way of this manual, laborious tasks and leaving you more free time so that you just look at your calendar and it's just a bunch of booked calls so you can have more talk time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And also actually having those conversations, like running those conversations. Starting it, you can do it with automation tools and AI. But at some point, having this conversation, handling objections, convincing, closing, all these tasks are still, for now at least, human work.
Yeah. Talk to me about that development. AI's obviously came a long way even in the past year, right? It's moving at light speed. How was AI being used in your business at the start of 2024, and how is that different from how it's being used at the start of 2025?
That's a good one. That's a good one. Not your first podcast, I can see.
I tried.
I would say it's more and more. So, okay, the AI tools, the AI models are smarter than they were. That's one thing. So you basically can give them more tasks, finding information, those agent thing. It evolved a lot in the last year. So now you can just prompt it and say, okay, find this or this on the website, and it does the research. It goes through the website, find it relevant, and the output is better than it was. So that gives you more possibilities. So then that's one thing regarding AI, how we use it. And also we use multiple tools that integrate with each other in a better way than it did before. So it's the tool providers, I would say, have made our life easier as well. Not all of them, because if we are talking of cold email, for example, Gmail and Outlook have made our life harder. But on the outbound part and the AI part, the tools are pretty good, and they are better and better. So our lives are they made our life easier, and the fact that AI itself improved and the integration with those different tools improved as well, allow us to focus on more advanced stuff. And what we spend, I don't know, 2 days to build as a system 1 year ago, we can do in half a day now. So it gives us more time to do more advanced stuff and even better workflows and processes. So I would say the quality and the integrations have been improved last year.
Yeah, I think it's a massive shift we're noticing in general is that we're seeing as part of that as well this like level of consolidation as well, and that you're having to use less tools because the tools that you're currently using are getting better and better and better, having more features, more API integrations as well, which like a year ago you would have to do a million Zapier workflows and then connect that to Make and connect that to another thing as well, which made building out this process for a new client for you like really stressful. But now it's made a lot easier. There's fewer tools, and more of them are kind of processed through natural language. I'm interested about the space in general. Obviously, you have, from what I can see, around like 3 years of professional sales experience. But did you have kind of sales experience before that, or was it just that specific role?
No, I've been involved in sales since like totally sales role since 2019. So it's been a bit longer. I started as a business developer. We called it like this back in the days. Basically doing half SDR roles and account executive role. I had a mix of this in a French startup in the tech industry. Was selling a software. It was pretty cool. And after a year, I had the opportunity to join another startup and build the entire sales department. So it was in 2020, and I've done that for 3 years as a head of sales of this other software company. And in September 2023, I started my own business.
Yeah, I'm curious about that transition, right? So you're heading up sales for this other company, you have this kind of business development role beforehand. How did that influence like how you created your product? So obviously you knew that you wanted to create this kind of finding more leads, this SDR, to help people kind of do the sales process. But what was there anything about your personality or your process that kind of made your current product unique from what else is out there in the market?
AI made a difference in that. I always wanted to be my own boss, creating my own business at some point. I knew that, but also, it's half finding excuses and half finding the right opportunity. It's a blur situation in that case. But That was a good signal for me. Like, okay, at the end of 2022, ChatGPT was released. Like many nerds, I played around with this tool and saw the potential. And one, I would say, thing I always did was to try to find a smarter way to do sales. Since day one, I would say I was in the startup. It was very innovative. We tried many ways, kind of, research and development, tried, save this 10-20% of your time and resources to try something different, try something new. Sometimes it will completely fail and you basically wasted your resources. But sometimes you find the right thing and it pays for everything you lost before. So I was kind of in this mindset, and I did that with AI. And so when I was, early 2023, with my team, when I was head of sales at this software company, we tried to play around with this. It wasn't perfect, of course. It was ChatGPT 3.5, I think, or even 3 maybe at this time. But still, at this very early stage of AI, we saw the potential. And it's also at the same time when I took content creation on LinkedIn seriously, and also saw that potential of, having the awareness, creating this interest about what we do. So that combined, I was like, okay, that now it's a good time. I don't have any excuses anymore to not create my thing. So that was kind of the process.
I got it. Very similar process to myself as well with this kind of advent of AI. It really gives you the power that if you are an ideas person, then you have all the technical challenges sorted, right? With all these coding tools and everything else, as well as you can really easily overcome those hurdles. So if you have a good idea, you can now bring it to life without all this capital, interest, experience, investment, which is super, super helpful. Breaking down what you're currently doing, I'd love to kind of jump into how you got to what you're doing now. So I heard you speak on a podcast. I'm pretty sure it was with Thomas Lucky, or Lucky. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but an absolute hero in the LinkedIn game right now.
Yeah, he's great. And the podcast was super cool as well.
Yeah, I done one with him earlier this year as well, and I had a great time as well. Like, let's give our flowers to him. Shout out to Thomas here.
Yeah.
So what I noticed is that you kind of describe it as Allbound. And if I look on your website, it's a combination of email and LinkedIn as well. Like, talk to me about how you came up with that strategy and like how you're delivering your current offering as well.
Yeah. It's basically, in short, it's what I was describing with the rise of AI doing the heavy lifting. That's also why it's my, title on LinkedIn, headline on LinkedIn. Because I, as a sales expert for a long period of time, doing outbound only, mostly, I would say, I was in the team of the guys that are doing the search manually for a long period of time and the boring tasks. And I saw, and I still see, that's depressing, bad emails coming. Like, okay, it's not targeting at all. Like, I think I mentioned this example. I've received a cold email. Actually, I've received many cold emails trying to sell to me lead generation, which is a proof of pure bad targeting. And of
You're
course,
like, this is my fucking business. This is what I do.
Yeah, exactly, guys. So of course not. Like a guy is trying to sell me lead gen this way. No, of course, he's not serious. So seeing this opportunity and seeing that many people doing it wrong, at least in my opinion, showed me like, okay, there is obviously an opportunity to do something here and have a working business. That's because it's, if you put it in the simplest way possible, good business is you solve a real problem for your client, for your customers, and that's it. And if they are satisfied with you solving their problem, they will pay you. That's simple as that. If we want to go back at the simplest theory. So that was a good signal for me. And also because that's only the outbound part. So I saw this opportunity doing this in a smarter way, in more efficient way, having better results with basically less workload. So that was pretty good as a model from where I saw it. And on the other end, I realized that all the work I've been doing, creating content on LinkedIn for almost 2 years, compounds with time. I've been invited in podcasts thanks to it. And also so many leads I received. So I had so many meeting booked from content from LinkedIn that it's also a great way to generate lead, actually. And what I like to say is that you have to be intentional in the kind of content you create. Some content is the goal is for awareness. Some other are, that's the top funnel, middle funnel, and bottom funnel. And the middle bottom funnel is for generating leads. But you have to know that, many people see, okay, this guy on LinkedIn have thousands likes, but maybe it doesn't have any leads from that. So you have to understand how it works. And based on that, I saw again an opportunity to sell something that help people generating leads while increasing their authority and showing their expertise online. LinkedIn is the only platform where you have to put your name, kinda. So it's the most real personal brand platform. You can do it on many platforms, but on LinkedIn, it's a professional platform. You can see where people are working. So to generate lead, it's kind of the best platform to do it. And so I just had to find the link between those two ways to create leads. And that's where Allbound makes sense, because it's like, okay, I have these guys liking my comment, my post, for example. Some of them might match my ICP, and then I will send a DM, being intentional again to those guys specifically. So you don't do massive outbound, you do targeted outbound based, and then everything grows. It's like, I like to call it, because I've done some marketing as well. They like to call it the trust loop. So they see you on LinkedIn, they receive an email, and then you continue, you do it this multiple times. And at some point, if you are targeting, right, it makes sense. And someone says, yeah, sure, let's talk. And that's where you have qualified meetings. So that's the big picture.
Obviously, you've got this mixture of inbound and outbound. Have you found there to be a single message that has provided more results than anything else when you're doing that outbound? Is there any verbiage you use? Do you start off with a joke? Like, what's provided you the best response rate so far?
Yeah, I try to not only target, but also segment. So it depends on where the lead come from. But yes, jokes, that's my best hack. I like to, start with, real icebreaker, basically. Like, okay, this is not a sales conversation. This is a conversation. And you remove the pressure from this kind of conversation. People are quite smart. They know that you are talking to them on LinkedIn. This is a professional platform. You are like, your personal brand says, hey, I help you with your sales. At some point, I understand what you are trying to do, but it doesn't have to feel like, okay, now we are talking about business. Either you ghost me or you buy. No, of course, there is something in the middle, and it can be just a cool conversation. And also, if you do that, it's you see this everywhere on LinkedIn, like create relationships. That's actually how you create some relationships. Just having a cool conversation. It can be 5 exchanges, and the guy say, okay, that's cool, but I'm not interested, or maybe in 6 months, and cool, you have a new friend and an opportunity in 6 months. So everybody wins.
Got you. So, I mean, you're focusing on this long-term basis, right? It's like, how do we develop these business relationships? We actually enjoy each other. And then maybe at some point they understand this in the context of sales. Is that something that you understood immediately, or like when you started, were you kind of more needy with it? Like, buy my shit, like right now, please.
No, yeah, that's so fortunately I had some time with some savings, etc. So I had some time to experiment. But yeah, same as everybody, you have to learn this thing, or listen to this kind of podcast to have the info from the guys who failed before you. and yeah, my first DMs and my first emails were bad, for sure. And I learned it, and I followed other creators myself, mostly trial and error, doing this. Okay, let's try this approach on this kind of people. That doesn't work. Let's do something else. And at some point, you find also what works for them and for you, something you're comfortable to do. And one thing I realized, and that's also what made me think of how to put outbound and inbound together, is that they are not working on the same timeline, actually. Like outbound can be quite fast. I mean, 2-3 months, you can have good result with emails, cold emails, if you do it right in less than 3 months, which is quite short in B2B. With inbound, with content creation, it takes more time because you have to build that trust. You have to, show yourself, show your face multiple times on the platform. So people say, okay, this guy, I've seen this guy 2 or 3 times before. It was good. Now it's good again. Okay, now I start to trust that guy. And if that guy send me a DM in 2 months, I would be happy to at least read it, which is the first step. So inbound takes time. And if you want faster results, you can do outbound as long as it's done right, with the right targeting, etc. And that's why having both together, starting both actions together, allows you to, it compounds basically. So you have short results. You learn from the data because with cold email, you can do volume. So you say, okay, this approach to this kind of people with this kind of messaging performs pretty well with the emails. There are good chances that it works as well on LinkedIn. And as LinkedIn DMs is limited, you can't send like hundreds, otherwise you would be banned. You want to use the best strategy you have, and with data you can know, from the emails. So yeah, that's why it works together that well.
Got you. I mean, I think the best example of people putting out content that ultimately leads to inbound is like Hormozy, for example. Like he puts out a ton of content, a ton of free value, and it's all in the pursuit of like promoting school or acquisition.com, right? Like it's all this engine, and it's the perfect mastermind for it. It's like if I put out a ton of free content, entrepreneurs are going to want to watch this. They're going to want to grow from 3 million to 100 million, and they'll come to me because I'm the person that's taught them how to do that.
Absolutely. And he's doing this at bigger scales than us. But I'm pretty sure if I don't know how much you do with with your business, Liam, but I'm not in the millions yet. So I don't receive a cold email from Alex Hormozy, but I'm pretty sure if I receive a cold email from Alex Hormozy, I will read it and I will probably reply to his email. So yeah, that's the same thing. Smaller scales.
Exactly. Not the millions yet, but we'll see. We'll see. Two things I'm curious about. Firstly, how many of your clients are European and how many are US based? And if you notice a difference in how you sell to those two different client bases?
That's a good question. I would say 80% are based in the US and the rest are based in Europe. Actually, we have one in Singapore as well.
Got you. And is there any difference in the client relationship and how people like to do that, how people like to do business in general?
Yeah, of course, there are cultural differences for sure. I would say in short, but it's based on my experience, of course, so it's not a absolute truth. But from what I see, the US market is more open to pay to see, where European is a bit more conservative, I would say, and say, okay, you have to prove a bit more to then get me paying for your thing. Of course, it's not 100% true, but that's what we saw mostly.
I mean, I come from Scotland and we are like an internationally renowned stingy economy where it's like we save everything and we'll scrap over like 50p or a pound. So I understand that mentality as well. And then being introduced to US market like 2 years ago, it was just like eye opening for me as well, seeing how much money was flowing around and that things aren't based on a monetary amount, it's based on the value you deliver, right? And that's kind of one of where I want to lead things as well, right? So I looked at your offerings, and if I'm correct in remembering, they're like 2.5, 3.5, and 5,500 a month, right? How did you come up with that pricing? Tell me about the kind of psychology behind that.
Yeah, so I studied competition. There are many agencies, of course, but I wanted to create something kind of new. Of course, I'm not the only one doing Outbound, but it's not like the main thing. So I started studying agencies that does cold email only, trying to find the right, what was the highest and the smallest price for them. Same with personal brand companies doing content on LinkedIn, and from that, basically, I picked a price between that. Didn't overthink this. Actually, we are working on reshaping our offers, so it will probably change quite soon. But yeah, also it was a bit difficult because when you offer something that is quite new, it's difficult to put a value in front of it. It's so we also tried and failed probably.
Got you. I mean, it sounds like a lot of the other things you've been doing, right, is like it's a process of experimentation, A, B, C, D, E, F testing, right? And it's like something's going to stick eventually, whether it's the messaging with LinkedIn, whether it's your pricing model and your cold emails, there's going to be that sweet spot where you're like, okay, like people react well to this specific thing.
We are still young as an agency, like it has been 6 months only. So we are still in this learning process, and we realize that's why we are reshaping a bit our offers, because we realize that some part of one would have been great in the other, and same the other way around. So we are restructuring a bit more, and now with the feedback from our clients, we know a bit more the value we provide to them. So it helps us to put a price in front of it, and also how to cut it down in multiple sub offers, so they can just say, okay, I want this plus this, not the entire package, or the entire package, but just remove this part. Make it a bit more flexible for them.
Talk to me about that. So from what it sounds like, you're honing in on what your business model is. And I heard you speak on a podcast before where you talked about how you tried this kind of community model. It became overwhelming. You were speaking to too many people. You moved more into high ticket, more into this agency model. Maybe talk to me about that transition. And also, if you can tell me about it, what 2025 and this new model, this new branding is going to look like as well.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, indeed, when I started in September 2023, I was actually I wanted to do like a solopreneur. I wanted to be a solopreneur doing, especially I was coming from multiple years of working in corporate or startups and with many people. And at some point, part of the motivation was, okay, I want to do my thing. So I wanted to work alone, but also realize that you can do it, but except if you are maybe Justin Welsh or those big guys, it's really hard to make a lot of money with small priced package, low priced package, and products. So I've tried to do that a bit. Then I made it evolve into a community thing, like kind of what Almost is trying to do with school. I was in that space as well. But yeah, at some point, reality caught you. I don't know, catch you, and you see the money coming in and the money coming out, and you see your saving reducing month after month, and you say, okay, I have to pivot again, and change my approach, because I won't survive for a long time with this one. So don't get me wrong. If you want to build a community and you are 100% dedicated to this and you are doing an extra good job, you will succeed. That's a real market. But I realized that wasn't what I wanted to do. That's a lot of effort. And especially in the beginning, it's not a lot of money. With time, it can be an interesting business for sure. But it requires more. And again, you have to hire a community manager because you can't do it alone. You have to manage many people. That's a lot of work, like customer success management. That's a lot of work. You have to produce quality, etc. So it was a lot, and I was short in time. So I decided to pivot on higher tickets. And yeah, actually that's where I started seeing those signals, like, okay, the AI in Outbound, the inbound thing with LinkedIn, and the connection between it, like it started to make more sense for me. And I was like, okay, let's give it a try and create this Allbound agency. And yeah, best decision ever. No regrets.
Awesome. I love to hear it. I mean, we run a school community as well, so I know how difficult it is to keep up to date with 1,000 people and answer any questions and stuff like that. So a community manager is on the cards as well for us in 2025 because I'm stacked.
I can only imagine, but yeah, for sure. My community was small. I can imagine with thousands of people. It's non-stop work, you know.
Yeah, it's exactly it. And at some point, you need a break from Slack and from logging into things and looking at LinkedIn. You need to go outside and touch fucking grass at a point.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming as well. So you know, in business, and you probably went through these steps as well. Yeah, at some point you have many expectations, many ideas of what it will be, and when you actually do it, it's never what you planned. So you have to learn from that and accept it. And as you know, the fastest you accept and pivot, the better you will do in business for sure. And sometimes it's difficult because you have to find the balance. You know, you have to be stubborn enough to continue in something that's not working because you are sure that it will. But sometimes you also have to accept that it's not working and move to the next thing. So it's a challenge for sure. But that's why it's, you know, not everything that is valuable, it takes time and effort for sure. So
I mean, I'm reading a book just now called Quit, and it kind of talks exactly about what you're talking about right now. Is like you kind of have to realize that some projects won't work out, and that even though it kind of looks as if it's bringing in money every month and stuff, it's just not scalable, and it's maybe just not worth it for your mental health, for the health of the business. And the prime example of this, they talk about this gaming company. I think it was, I can't remember the name of it, but it was like 10, 15 years ago. Seeing success, seeing growth, investors were happy with it. CEO decides this isn't going to go anywhere, quits it, and he uses the internal messaging app that they built out from this gaming app. And that internal messaging app that he pivoted out with turned out to be Slack.
amazing. Okay.
So it's like knowing what to quit and when to quit and having the confidence and the ability to make those hard decisions when that comes as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect example, of course. That's, yeah.
So with this, I want to jump more into sales. I think we've got a pretty good understanding of like what your business does and how it operates. I want to touch on the point from where it switches from AI to you. Are you still taking the sales call for your business, or do you have people taking them now?
No, I still do it. I still do the sales calls myself. But now I have a team, I have partners. So I'm not alone doing this. And I can, you know, if can't make it, I have someone who can do it instead of me. But yeah, it's still when you click on the button and it says book a call with me, it's still me for now.
Yeah, it's not an AI version of you. It's not someone else. No.
No, it's still me. But especially on the personal brand offer, because you know it's based on my knowledge, my experience, 2 years of trial and fail and learning. So it would be, I mean, at some point, if the agency grows and becomes big enough, I would be able to teach that knowledge to team members for sure. But at some point, I have to see, you know, the clients, the context, the situation for them. So this for sure, I will continue to do the calls myself for a long time. The outreach part, we have I have hired and partner with great people, so I'm more confident I will be able to let them do the calls.
I love it. I love it. So with this, you've obviously been on a bunch of sales calls. You're hopping on a bunch of sales calls now, probably with pretty important people, closing big deals. How do you enter a conversation with confidence? What are the things that you keep in mind as you're starting to have that conversation that you're like, yes, I can conduct this and have frame in this conversation?
Yeah, that's a good question. And actually it connects with the previous question I didn't answer about what I want to do in 25. I'm very convinced, and I think you have to believe in your offer to sell it. It works with everything. And I'm very convinced that this Allbound approach, and especially the way we do Outbound with AI and advanced research, enrichment, etc. I'm very convinced that it is the future of sales for B2B at least. And with that in mind, for me, it's very easy to say, okay, guys, just let's have a talk and present me your needs, present to me your sales process. And from there, I'm 100% sure that I can convince you that what we do is is more efficient for obvious reasons, you know. So that's with that mindset, I'm quite actually I'm never in a situation where I say, okay, guys, you tricked me. You are best. You are better than me in that specific thing. I can't help you. What happens sometimes is that I can say that I can't help you because your total addressable market is too small, or you are too early in your growth. You need to validate a bit more your product. These kind of things, but never that I can't deliver on the sales strategy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the ultimate sales tool, right? Is confidence in your offering. I've I've had that personally as well. When I first got started in sales, I was like 16, 17. I worked for this phone company in the UK called Carphone Warehouse. And I was pretty confident in that every kind of contract we could give to people was the best on the market because I researched the best on the market and we could always do the best. And then I went and worked for this different company years later called Three, and their offers were shit. And it's like, you just felt bad selling it to people because you're like, I have no confidence in this and I know that there's a better offering out there. So when you know that Allbound works and you know that it can provide value and you know that it can get them more sales, there's nothing really stopping you in terms of conducting that sales call, is there?
No, exactly. And when actually what I'm saying to a prospect, potential clients, and I say, okay, with everything you said to me, your context, your situation, your product, your value proposition, your targets, etc., I'm confident to say that I will get you, I don't know, 20 meetings, qualified meetings per month. I mean it. Like, otherwise I won't say it. I prefer to say, okay, I can't help you than that. But when I say it, I'm super confident. So I'm like, yeah, of course you can test me as much as you want. I will always find a reply to this because I know what we offer and I know the value of it. And same as you said, like for example, when I started in that, as it was my first experience as a business developer in that technical, very techy startup, and the first few months I didn't understand everything because it was very technical, and it was super difficult because when you have a question coming and like you can't answer, you have to invent something, and like that sounds like, okay, am I scamming this guy?
You got
And
to
that's,
bullshit on the spot, basically.
yeah, that's not good sales, and most of the time they can tell. So the more you know your product, the more you're convinced that it is solving the problem of your the person you're talking with, the easiest it becomes. And I like to, same. I used to use the closing strategies, many. Do you know maybe the medic framework, stuff like this? Make sure that you ask the right questions, blah blah blah. What is the next step, etc. I've been through all those frameworks, and of course they can help. But at some point, do you know this meme where it's like beginner do stuff like wrong, advanced guy is super stuff, advanced frameworks, whatever, and then it comes back to the master and it's like, just talk. It's kind of the thing. And yeah, now I'm like, okay, let's have a casual conversation, explain your problem to me, and I will say with my knowledge and experience if I can help you or not. And if I'm convinced that I can help you, I will explain you, proving you A plus B plus C plus until it's Z, and more if needed, how and why it will work. So in that case, that's better to sell.
I do love that meme as well. There's also one on like people that do operations and stuff, and it's like people in the middle have got like Airtable and a million different things, and then the guy at the end's got Apple Notes. And he's just working away on that. I love it. Something I'm noticing is like a kind of common thread here is that patience is a complete virtue in this process, right? Patience is a virtue in how you do outreach, and patience is a virtue in your sales call as well, right? As you have this ability to be like, this offer's right for you or this offer's not right for you. So with that being like one of the kind of character traits that you need to have to be able to succeed in sales, if you were to train, for example, someone that's completely fresh to sales and stuff, what other character traits would you try and instill in them? And would you try help them build when they're kind of joining your team, for example?
Yeah, that's a great one. I think patience, not only in sales but in general in life and in pro life for sure, is an excellent skill to have, especially in 2025 now, because with everything You can take your iPhone, click a button, and receive whatever you need in seconds, or maybe hours if you need to be, if you are on Amazon and want to a physical product. But in less than 24 hours, you can have whatever you want, basically. So of course, if it's that easy, that means that the real value is somewhere else, and you have to do the extra effort for a long period of time to get the real value in like in life. And so you need to be patient. That there is no shortcut of it. And the societies we are living in most countries, I would say, you can have almost everything in a few clicks. I would say in developed countries, of course. That's a bias that we have, and everything that requires time and effort, we don't want to do it. We are kind of lazy because we don't need to. You can be very comfortable doing boring work all your life, and that would be easy, quote unquote easy. So patience and determination are super valuable skills if you want more, actually, in anything in life. If you want this in your professional career, for sure, but even with personal life, you don't know. If let's take sport, for example. If you want to be good at something, you have the shortcuts, like you take 2 pills and do 20 push-ups a week, and you will have something average, best case scenario. If you want to be the best pro player in whatever sport you choose, you need to spend hours training. That's kind of the same thing. So yeah, patience, determination, and also one great skill, and that work with sales a lot, is not caring too much of what people say or think of you. Because when you send an email, sometimes, especially when you are a beginner and you are learning, you will do mistakes, and this email won't be good. You would be targeting the wrong people, and sometimes some guys will reply to you like, fuck off, what's this shit, you should kill yourself. Some people can be crazy, and if you take it personally, that will be difficult for you. So yeah, having this this ability to not caring too much about that will help you, of course, in that long period of effort that you have to do to get successful.
I mean, I think all those things work in tangent, right? Is like the society that we are in just now has never been more distracted, has never been more impatient, has never been as attention deficit in our entire history as humans, right? So the majority of people are sitting scrolling TikTok and YouTube and stuff like that, and on Instagram, right? This instant gratification, right? Which is two-pronged. One, this is society we're living in, but two, it's never ever been easier to succeed if you do practice that level of patience as well, right? And realistically, it comes into that second point you look at as well, as like not giving a fuck what people think, right? So whilst everyone else is scrolling YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, take yourself off those platforms, seem like a bit of a weirdo, and then think on a 5 or 10 year timeline, like, how can I get to where I want to go? How can I be patient with it? How can I practice patience on the daily? And it's something that I'm doing as well, as like I'm practicing meditation every single day and try to take away from my phone. I don't have any social media but LinkedIn for outreach as well. It's like, I know that if I practice patience daily and I think on a 10-year timeline, then it'll eventually work out. And every single famous entrepreneur that has a podcast, has a platform, says the exact same thing, right? If you listen to Hormozy, he says it's just a case of working hard enough for long enough. I was listening to the My First Million podcast with Sam Parr and Shanpuri the other day, and they were talking about pretty much every single one of their friends in the San Francisco VC space or San Francisco entrepreneurship space. If they've stayed in the game for 10 years or longer, they've eventually seen success, right? It's just a matter of determination, staying in that as well. So with you, right, I want to take things personal for a second. So we're talking about like this level of patience and virtue and stuff as well. How do you conduct your personal life to supercharge or work with your business life as well, right? It's like, how do you balance those two things together, and how do you have them complement? Is there any specific structure? Are you drinking AG1 every morning, or Element? Like, what's going on in your life to make sure that you are productive and you're thinking long term?
Yeah, not really. Actually, I don't have a really a hack for this. So, first, I don't really believe in work personal life balance, especially when you are an entrepreneur, because it is your life, kinda. So the only thing is to be disciplined. That's definitely required at some point. If you don't say to yourself, okay, at 8 p.m. every day, I close my computer no matter what, you will burn out at some point. So that's discipline. So that's definitely work required, and it's practice. Like everything, you have to fix some rules that you want to follow and follow them. And sometimes you will fail, but you will continue until you don't fail anymore. So that would be one. I think one very good advice I can share from my experience is to take care of your physical health, like do some sports. I've made that mistake at the beginning, like in the first 6 months. I was so focused on my stuff, creating my business, that I didn't do that many physical activities for this period of time. And I ended up, my back was hurting. I wasn't I was fatter. I don't know. So, and if your body isn't in good shape, your brain is part of it. We cannot forget it, and it's part of your physical body, and you have to take care of it as well. So if your body is not in shape, your mind is not in shape as well. So it's like a bad loop to be in. So yeah, start, even if it's like 20 minutes every day, that's enough, that you have to have a physical activity. So that would be two good advice that I would share from my experience: discipline and physical activity. And the rest of it is like, you have to enjoy it. If, I shared yesterday, actually, kind of a New Year post on LinkedIn about 2024. And sometimes it will be super annoying, super boring. So you have to enjoy the journey at a minimum, and before the goal, because as we said, the goal is far and will take a long time to get there. So you have to enjoy it. And yes, I have tough days. I work a lot. I work too much probably, but I'm super happy to wake up every morning and say, okay, one other work day to create my dream life. So that's, you have to enjoy.
Yeah, I think enjoying the process is a massive part of it, right? Is like, if you predicate your happiness on reaching a specific goal. I mean, I don't know about you, but like, I came from nothing and I was like, all right, when I reach X amount per month, I'll be happy. And then I reached X amount and I was like, I feel no different. And I was like, okay, if I reach Y amount, I'll be happy. And then I reached Y amount and I was like, all right, I can buy this watch now and I've got an iPhone or an iPad. But after like 30 seconds, you're like, all right, I don't feel any different. And then you reach said goal and you get to there and you're like, well, nothing's fucking changing, right? Like, nothing's, you've got to enjoy the process of what you're doing, because humans have this innate ability to adapt to whatever given situation, right? It's like, someone was to give you $1 million, you would feel great for a week, and then you'd be like, all right, like, this is just my life now. So you've got to enjoy what you do on a daily basis, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think from that, I've read it somewhere. I don't remember the book it was, but like, we have a misconception of happiness itself, because we want to be happy, like if it was a constant situation, like happy people are happy all the time. That's the kind of the conception we have in mind, which is wrong, of course, because we know that we are happy time to time, and sometimes we are sad, and sometimes we are different, and most of the time we are in a neutral situation and doing our things, and that's it. So if we accept this, I think the real goal would be to have a life that makes sense to you, and that's what helps you to, to wake up in the morning and start your day and do your thing, if that makes sense to you. For me as an entrepreneur, I know that I want to build my future freedom. That's why I spend hours in front of my desk and my computer every day. But it makes sense to me, and that's why I keep doing it, and I enjoy the journey. Otherwise, it's just a pain in the ass. If I take this one specific day, 10 hours in front of my computer is not great.
I mean, that was going to be my next question, and my final question actually is like, why do you think you do what you do? Like, are you persevering through all of the troubles and the hard times and the countless hours in this pursuit of building a financial freedom? And if that is the case, where do you think that stems from? Do you have like an entrepreneurial family? Is it maybe coming from like a not so financially free background? Like, why is it you're pursuing that?
Yeah, definitely that comes from my personal background, like you, coming from not much. So of course it makes sense to me to build this stability and this financial security. But it's more about freedom. In our lives, if you have been working in corporate for a while, you know that you are not as free as you want, because you have to respect other people's rules. So if you want more freedom, it has to be coming from you. You have to sustain your needs on your own, kinda. So that's definitely part of it. And also, especially since I started the agency, it's about making sense as well. Because if you can be a great SDR working for a great company, it will be great as long as you are aligned with the vision of the company that you're working for. As soon as the vision is not right, not aligned with you, it will become painful to work. And so in my case, especially with the agency, I truly believe in the mission. Like, I'm sure that I'm building the future of sales. And so it gives me this extra energy for the bad days. Like, okay, that's boring to spend this amount of time in front of my computer, but I'm doing this for a reason, not only for me, but also for something bigger, that vision. And that gives you the extra motivation.
That was going to be my last question, but you've just made me think of another question there. I feel the same way. Like, what we're doing at the AI report is we're trying to provide this level of AI education where no matter where you kind of are with your journey with AI, you can come in, consume the newsletter, podcast, training courses, and you can kind of reach that next level, right? It's like we want to hold people's hand, help them educate themselves so they can save themselves time, money, and be kind of more happy, more satisfied with their jobs, right? But what I struggle with sometimes is that sometimes I'll sit on my laptop and work for 8 hours and I'll forget to keep that bigger picture in mind, right? Is I'll forget to connect my daily tasks to that overall mission and remind myself of it. How exactly are you doing that? Have you got sticky notes there? Have you written it on the inside of your eyelids? Like, how exactly are you reminding yourself of that?
That's an excellent question. Actually, I didn't ask myself, but I think creating content about it daily helps, because every day I'm trying to convince the entire world that what I'm saying is the right thing to do in this specific niche, So that definitely helps for sure, to remind me why I'm doing this. Also, having those sales meetings or meetings with clients, seeing that what we do makes sense for them as well, and provide results, that helps me to say, okay, I'm on the right tracks, building that thing. And yeah, also at some point, I told you that I wanted to start this thing to work alone, but in reality, I'm super happy to have this team with me now and sharing with them, like, we are on the same page building this thing. And when you have a team of like-minded people, that helps you when you are in a bad day, they might be in a good day, so they are cheering you up, and same is the other way around. So yeah, also sometimes that helps. Like, in a day you're like, why am I doing this? Why am I suffering that much to do this? Because we all have bad days. And you have that guy coming saying, oh yeah, we did this for the client and it was awesome, and everybody was happy. You're like, okay, that's why I'm doing it.
I love it. I love it. I want to finish off right there because it's a beautiful way to end it. Jérémy, I want to thank you for your time, and it's been a brilliant hour. I've learned a lot. It's been good getting to know you a bit more from kind of seeing all your public profiles and seeing you on different conversations on LinkedIn. So it's been great to talk to you on a personal level as well and find out a bit more about you.
It was my pleasure. I enjoyed it. Thank you, Liam. It was great.
If someone wants to find you, your business, anything like that, like, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, best way to do it is obviously my LinkedIn profile, for sure. And otherwise, tc9.ai. You have everything you need to know out there. And we will reshape a bit the website. So
beautiful. Thank you.